I'm just going to start as well saying that there is loads of positive work obviously being done, capital infrastructure. You know, there's a lot of new developments coming on board. But it's very frustrating for someone like me in the Northwest that comes in here to these committees week after week looking for additional money or additional services to be provided in the Northwest, and we're always being told we don't have the money. So just for example, with this 50 million loss that we can see now, that would have taken you could get 25 years of catering across all services on Irish Rail. So how it's so bad, I suppose, optically wise for yourselves, but it's so frustrating for passengers. I know I'm always harping on about this, but I don't think you realise the impact it's having by not having services on board. You know, a catering service on board, and like there's disability groups now, advocacy groups across the country are coming to me about this as well. And then to hear the kick in the teeth that a waste of taxpayers' money for 50 million. And just on that, are Indra still getting contracts from TII? Are they still involved in projects in any area of transport at the moment? Despite this mess.
Yeah. Senator, I think the concerns you've raised are shared, especially amongst our own team. So there's huge frustration on the ground and disappointment that we find ourselves in this position. On the last point, I understand there is another contract on NGT with Indra, but we wouldn't be involved in that. That's for next generation ticketing. That's currently being managed by
Indra.
By Indra.
Okay, and who would? Is that the NTA?
That would be NTA project.
So, despite knowing this is happening, this is still going on. This contract is still going on.
That would be different software, entirely different technology, and I suppose we wouldn't be in a position to talk to that. But we do believe that that project is progressing according to plan. But to your, I suppose, just going back to the point you make, there's a huge disappointment that this money, but ultimately when we stand back, we need a traffic management system. We need to control our train network. So this is vital to run today's railway, and it's also vital to add capacity so that we can bring in all those new projects that I spoke about earlier on. And albeit we have built out resilience in the greater, or we're planning to put resilience into the GDA area that will support both the current network and the DART Plus programme. We ultimately need a new traffic train control system for the country.
Of course we do, we do. But I suppose it's like, it's just so frustrating for someone like me where our train services are so limited to come in and hear 50 million is just gone just like that. And I could provide 25 years of service if you're saying it costs 10 million to run a catering service across all networks for 5 years. Sorry,
Senator, on the catering, just to give you some comfort there, you'll be aware when I briefed the committee a number of months back that I would have informed you that under our PSO we only have funding to provide catering on the Cork service.
I'm very aware which ones.
Does provide some level of service from Mallow for Kerry customers, and we have service on the Enterprise. We have no additional funding available to us. We went to the market and we weren't able to secure anything. So we have, in the last number of months, we've engaged with alternative suppliers looking at it, see is there another way we can do it, and we hope that in the coming months we will be able to formally advise you that we will be running a pilot later this year.
And do you know what network we're going to
do? I can't confirm at this stage, but we will be obviously looking at the intercity services that aren't currently served. So we would be prioritising those, and we would look at a pilot. If that works, that might be a means to actually providing a catering service.
So we'd expect that in the next couple of
We hope that we will have that in service maybe Q3 this year.
And I suppose another one that I've raised here we're getting that we don't have enough money is an early morning commuter train from Longford to Sligo. Just wondering how much that will cost. Like the train, because I've met with yourself, I met with your predecessor as well about this. We know that the trains are there. They're saying all it is fuel and licensing is all the cost. So can we get a commitment that will happen? If their new trains are going on board, this could happen from when students return to college. There was an RTU report about it during the week again about the need for this. That when students are coming back to ATU in September, that this route will be on board.
Senator, I hear your concerns, and we're getting similar requests from all over the country. But It is feasible to do it because we have the fleet, and that's the most critical thing.
Yeah.
In other parts of the country we don't, but it is subject to funding. And I
And
know
what's the
ourselves
funding,
and the NTA were supportive of it, but unfortunately the funding didn't materialise this year, and it will be part of our ask again for next year. I don't have the precise figure, but we do have it quantified. Our team have quantified it. We have shared that information with the NTA, and it is subject to the funding that will be made available, and ultimately through the DOT.
And like, I suppose what a lot of the projects opened, like it's great, and I'm delighted to see more rail infrastructure across the country, but we were, again in the Northwest, were overlooked. Like, we've been pushing as well for not only for that early Longford train, but to open up a train station in Ballysadare, whose population has massively grown. It's part of the Side Country Development Plan 2024 to 2030, a part of the mini plan for Ballysadare. There was an existing railway line there, an existing station, but it was closed, and that's part, like, they're coming into Sligo, it's being blocked by traffic, and like the early morning commuter with Longford and would stop in Ballysadare as well. So that, like, it's looking at, I see that that we say it's very frustrating for somebody. I mean, I'm not against the Riders' Cup, but when you hear that there's a temporary pass, that's going to be opened, but it's €499 a day to go to the Ryder Cup, when there's a train station in Ballysadare waiting to be opened. It just seems that we're being overlooked all the time in the Northwest. And just my last point is about, and this is a real to commend Irish Rail, that I've raised this about the roof in Sligo train station as well, and I know in Howth was a really good example of how Irish Rail had the staff within themselves. They looked, they were able to look at the money that was available, and they used the personnel within Irish Rail. It's a very proud project. I can't remember the man's name that was involved in it. Bob Lowe. He was the asset compliance manager, and I saw an interview with him. So why can't that be done in Sligo train station? Like, Sligo has no roof. Where it's built within 10 years of each other in the late 1800s. Unfortunately, it was damaged in 1922 and hasn't been repaired. Can you give me any mechanism that I can go back to Sligo County Council or to see commitment that you're willing to work with us around? Like, there is no drain, there's no roof. Like, it's desperate when you're coming into Sligo.
In regards to the Sligo station, I visited it myself, and I know exactly what you're talking about. We have a programme of works called Early Interventions, and it is identified in that. And again, I know I keep repeating myself, subject to funding, but it is a project that we're really keen to deliver on, and we're hoping that we will find a mechanism to get that done.
And would it be Irish Rail doing, or is it up to applying for grants? Is it?
It would be Irish Rail,
okay.
but it would be subject to funding.
Thank you.